Hello everyone, today I'm going to do my communications project and it's about Iraq. So first I want to introduce myself. My name is Omar Qadri and I'm from Egypt and I live in Dubai. So my country is pretty close to Iraq as I'm an Arab and Iraq is an Arab country. So I was lucky that I was chosen to talk about Iraq. So first, let's start with Iraq's location. Iraq is located in the Middle East across the northwestern end of the Zagros mountain range. Iraq has borders with six countries, which are Syria, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iran, and Turkey. So Iraq is located in the Asian continent and it's located in the Middle East in general. Now let's talk about the geological features of Iraq. Iraq has a total area of 438,317 kilometers square, which are composed of two types, water and land. There is 437,367 kilometers square of land and 950 kilometers square of water. Iraq's area is relatively three times the size of New York State. So you can say that it's pretty big. It's not a small country, it's a big country which has a lot of resources. So let's talk now about the history of Iraq. Iraq's economy has always been focused on the petroleum sector, as we are studying petroleum engineering and our communication project is about that, so that's a very important detail to talk about, and that's what my project will be based on in the following slides. So, Iraq's independence occurred in October 3, 1932, after being colonized by many countries such as the United Kingdom and the Ottoman Empire. And finally, Iraq's capital is Baghdad right now. So, petroleum in Iraq, it's what we are talking about, and that's our main focus. Petroleum is the most valuable mineral in Iraq. Iraq has the world's largest known petroleum reserves. Oil production contributes the largest single portion to the GDP and constitutes almost all of the Iraq's foreign exchange. So, as you can say that it's the main resource which gets money to Iraq. So it's pretty important for them, and that's why it happened a lot of problems in Iraq. It was because of the how much petroleum they have and how much energy and natural gas they had before. Oil and petroleum production began to decline in the 1990s aftermath of the Gulf War and the imposition of international sanctions against Iraq and its president Saddam Hussein at that time. So that was the main problem in Iraq, that after 1990 and 92 there was the Gulf War, which was between Iraq and mainly Kuwait. So it had a lot of problems and some international sanctions and countries interfered in that problem, and they were against President Saddam Hussein at that time, like the United States, which made the oil and petroleum production decline. Like it was beginning to decline at that time, as Saddam Hussein had a lot of problems and issues with his politics point of views or even his normal life as a president. So first, let's talk about crude oil. Iraq produces 4.613 million barrels per day of crude oil. Iraq exports 3.092 million barrels per day of crude oil. Iraq doesn't import crude oil at all, which shows how valuable it is, and which shows also how much they have of crude oil. Iraq's crude oil reserves is said to be for 148.8 barrels per day of crude oil. It's really impressive. Refined petroleum products. Iraq produces around 400,000 barrels per day. Iraq consumes 826,000 barrels per day. Iraq exports 8,284 barrels per day. Iraq imports 255,100 barrels per day. It shows how important it is, and it shows that from this slide, the previous one, and the refined petroleum products. So you can say that Iraq has more crude oil than refined petroleum products. Let's talk about natural gas, which is, I think, one of the most expensive resource right now in the world. Everyone is looking for it. So we need to know how much Iraq has of natural gas and how much they import or export of natural gas. So Iraq produces 1.274 billion meter cube of natural gas every day. That's a really big or large amount of natural gas. Iraq consumes 2.633 billion meter cube. So you can say that Iraq consumes more than they produce daily. Iraq doesn't export natural gas at all, but Iraq imports 1.359 billion meter cube, which like so they equalize what they consume daily with what they produce every day. Iraq proved reserves of natural gas is 3.82 trillion meter cube. It's a really large number. It's an impressive number, which shows how much Iraq is rich of natural gas in like specifically and petroleum and its components in general. So variables that affect oil prices in Iraq. So they are like similar variables that affect oil prices all over the world, but there's a little difference in Iraq. So firstly, supply and demand. That's like the main variable which affects any oil prices all over the world. The weather in Iraq is special because it's uh, like it depends on the location of where you are in Iraq, but mostly it's hot, which they say that the warmer the weather, the more petroleum you can extract, petroleum or natural gas that you can extract from the ground or the sea. Political stability, as Iraq has been an unstable country since the political issue which Iraq had since the problem after Saddam Hussein's death. So basically, that's really special to Iraq because Iraq has been an unstable country for a lot of years, like over 20 years. It has been unstable. So that made the oil production and oil supply decline a bit in the last few 20 years. Like, still, it didn't affect them as bad as it was expected to affect them, but still they produce an oil every day and they try their best, but being unstable makes it harder for them to produce and like extract more oil and petroleum from the ground and the seas. The international market prices. So as we all know now, we are living in the corona virus period. So basically the oil prices dropped in the last like few months, 4 months from the beginning of the year. So obviously it affected the price of oil in Iraq because it's like the whole world is connected with each other. So if, for example, in the United States, the oil prices go down, as we knew last week that it became minus 37, like one barrel equals minus $37. So obviously it would affect the oil price in Iraq, Saudi Arabia, or whatever country. And the geographical location. So Iraq is lucky that it has a really nice location, which is full of petroleum and oil resources. So mainly the Middle East is rich of oil and petroleum, as such as in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, and Iraq. So, in summary of my communication project that Iraq has always been a petroleum-based country. That's the main resource of money for Iraq. Iraq is full of petroleum, even after the potential issues which happened in the last 20 years. Yet it affected them, but it's still their main resource of money. That's how how they get money from all over the world. That's the only foreign exchange of money which they get from. Iraq's location is really good, and the reason behind the huge availability and production of petroleum and oil in Iraq, as I mentioned in the previous slide, that's like the main reason why Iraq has a lot of petroleum. It's their location. Mainly the Middle East are has rich of petroleum fields and oil. So that's why Iraq is full of petroleum. So here's my works cited page. I hope I was useful and I taught not I can't say taught, but I gave some more information about Iraq to you, sir, to the professor, as I know that it's hard to talk like this in the online way, but I'm trying my best, and I tried my best to talk about Iraq. So, and don't mind if there are any grammar mistakes, as I'm an international student, but hopefully this will be very useful for you, and hopefully you will like what I did. Thank you.